Hello and welcome to episode 4 of Pop Culture Nirvana. We haven't been cancelled yet, and now we're back with some really low grade animations. So we're moving on up. We're moving on up. In today's episode, we shall be talking about Dot and Bubble. I'm Jane, and once again joined by my long suffering wife Kay.
Hello.
I was going to say hello, but perfect. Um, yeah, so I think we should just go straight into this. Dot and Bubble. We'll save the big kind of spoiler. By the way, spoilers as always,
As always.
but like the big kind of racist element in the elephant in the room until right at the end, I think.
Yes.
So overall, Kay, what did you think of the episode?
It's a vibe. Uh, I like that he's doing more anthology vibey things. The one before obviously felt more like an Inside Number Nine. This one felt a bit more like a Black Mirror.
Yeah,
Um, I really liked it, but I really like Black Mirror. So and the characters were really good. Not likable necessarily,
yeah.
but really good.
I mean, yeah, I'd agree with that. It's very much got a Black Mirror kind of vibe, and I think it was actually another YouTuber, Review Death, shout them out. They mentioned that it's almost like each episode is like eight been some other series. So like we had last week's one, which was like Inside Number Nine.
Mm.
Um, we had this one now, Black Mirror. The next one looks really Bridgerton-esque.
Yeah.
So maybe does that come involved in it? Is there going to be some kind of like we've had like a god of music, we've had a god of games. Is it going to be like
God of
a
Telly.
a god of Netflix? Or long running series is. I don't know.
I thought that was just Russell.
Debatable, debatable. But we'll come back to that. But yeah, I liked it. I quite like I like the Disney budget in terms of what they can do. Like the 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 colors in this episode. I mean, it made me sound like an autistic child, but I was just so entranced by everything I was seeing. That very pastel-y kind of Crayola color that everything had going for it, and it reminded me a lot of like Paradise Towers and the Happiness
Yes.
Patrol from
Yeah.
like the McCoy era, that really like bright and bombastic, but with actually a lot of like, hidden depth and like darkness underneath, which we'll be coming back to later on. So all in all, I think we both agree costumes, location work, a vibe.
Yes.
Yeah, good vibes. Well,
Yeah.
not good vibes,
Yeah.
but you know what we
The
mean.
only thing, obviously, once again, Doctor not in it too much.
Yeah, and I think that's going to be a recurring issue. And again, I was talking to this with one of our mutual friends, and I think it's a lot to do with the fact that Shooty was filming Sex Education at the time. However, he says there's no excuse because they had to write the scripts anyways, so they could have.
Yeah, but scripts are written, but either way, you still have to account for his time when you're writing the
Yeah,
scripts, or at least once the scripts are written, and edit them
yeah,
in
that's
order to account for. To be fair, I'm okay with it. I'm very much one of those people who's like, I'm happy for the Doctor to inspire people
like
rather
Eccleston,
than like
like a Night
Eccleston,
Doctor.
because
Yeah,
that's why he's my favourite. Rather than be the hero.
I mean it's very much like classic Who, like William Hartnell's Doctor, where he was, even though the main character, because the show's named after him, he was always sort of in the background. It was more like Ian and Barbara were actually doing like the heroine, so to speak. However, like I said to you, I think the problem with this is we're trying to get a new generation of people into Doctor Who, and I think that some people might just look at this and think, "Well, this is cool. I like the character. Shooty's really, he's a cool guy, but what's he really do except cry every episode?"
But only for this episode. One thing you can say is because of the elephant in the room,
Mm.
there's a reason for him not to be in it so much.
Yeah, I think it works well for this episode. It just seems like we're always getting that at the moment. I mean, this is like the second. I wouldn't say Doctor Light because he does have a lot in it, but he's not as active. As a good friend of mine said, Doctor Who for him is the Doctor running around, Murray Gold music playing in the background, or him sat there thinking, "Ooh, this is, what's this? This is a bit of a conundrum." type thing, and he's not really getting much of that. But
I think it's funny because obviously we talked last episode about being in a way, because obviously the Doctor wasn't there, kind of relating that to Blink naturally, but this kind of felt more like Blink in the time that the Doctor was on screen because it was on screen.
a screen on a screen,
Yeah.
100%. I think we should talk about some of the social commentary. But we're going to talk about the social media commentary first before we talk about the part that gets cancelled at the end, right? So I like this concept of, everyone being plugged into social media. I mean, it's not really the most original. Like I said, Black Mirror do this every week, really. But I was quite surprised that the point they made that everyone is trapped in their own bubble, their own echo chamber. We only listen to the political views that we want to listen to. We only hang out with the people we want to. The fact that Ruby, I think that episode says, take down your bubble. And then as soon as she takes it down, she sees something she doesn't like, the big ass slug, and puts it back up. Because she's not used to being around things that are unpleasant to her. And I think that's quite brave to say, because I think that's a problem across a lot of political spectrums and a lot of fandoms and just life itself. We always tend to hang out with people who at least either agree with us or have the same kind of values. So I thought that was, and it's surprising I say how much I hate the political stuff in Doctor Who usually, but I've actually been enjoying it this season, so maybe I'm a hypocrite. But
I think it's stuff that everyone's talking about, written in a way that doesn't shove it down your throat, because everyone's talking about it, so it's easy to be nuanced with it, almost. Social media's talked about so regularly now, especially in relation to children, which is why I think this is such a relevant episode currently. And in terms of people changing themselves in order to feel accepted on social media, obviously with our Ricky September, you've got him, he's a bookworm, really intelligent guy, becoming a singer that all the girls go over, literally just to feel accepted in a world that he doesn't go on social media. He doesn't have friends much. He has followers.
Well, I think the same with all of them. Like, you really get, obviously, Ricky September being the outlier, that he actually has some more depth. There's this very, vapid kind of surface level, skin deep, ironically, really, given the ending. Sort of look to everyone. Everything's very, very fake, very false, very played up, like I said, for social media. It seems that these characters are deep in the sense that they're well acted, and like some of their, views on race are very. I wouldn't say not deep. What am I trying to say? They're deep in the sense that they're shallow. I know it sounds really stupid, but it's hard to play shallow well. I think.
Yeah, and not be annoying to the point that we don't want you to develop. I think throughout the episode, and it's part of actually what I think was clever about the episode, is I was praying that she would learn something.
Yeah.
And that's what we always do when the Doctor has a kind of secondary companion. You always, if they're a bad character, you always think, oh, they're going to develop, they're going to have great character arc in this episode, can't wait. And obviously, in this, one of the best aspects for me about it was that kind of Black Mirror twist where
nope, she's just a bad person.
I'm just gonna let you die.
Yeah, and I think that's a good lesson for kids. Some people are just dicks, and sometimes the dickheads win. So good night, kids. Sweet dreams.
Well, they win up to the point where they go into the woods and are gonna definitely
die. Yeah.
They have no livable skills.
Yeah, they have no life skills. And again, well, that's another point right there. These guys spend all their lives on social media. They have no actual skills. Like, we haven't even talked about the fact that she can't bloody walk.
Oh no, that was one of my favourite things as well. Just the idea of it. And again, it's that idea that people get so consumed by social media and by their own image in their head that they just don't even, that's a baby knows how to walk. The fact that this is how childish they are, pretty much that's what Russell's telling us.
Yeah.
This is how
they're infantile, really, the way they act.
They are, exactly.
Even the way they speak. I mean, I think the Space Babies actually had better vocabulary than them. And I think you're right. I think that I've heard someone say that great sci-fi is taking something we have today and extrapolating it to an extreme, And I think it was showing that, kids today, and I say kids today, we're millennials, so this isn't just like a boomer thing raging, but it's the fact that we don't have as many skills, arguably, as our parents did,
Mm.
for example, because we haven't needed to, Like you see me in DIY, I can't do bugger all. All right, you're the exception to the rule with that. But my father or grandfather could probably do DIY. I could not. Why? Because I could just use my phone and get someone to do it. And if you take that to its logical conclusion, it's going to come to the point where why would I need to walk? I can get someone to do it for me, or at least give me the instructions to do it. And I could. It almost reminds me of but really off topic, but Wally with the
Oh,
really obese people. They can't walk.
yeah.
They have a life of complete luxury. It's almost like that in a way, but
In a way, it is. It's like a barbified version of it.
barbified. I like that.
Just in the fact that obviously they can't walk either, and they kind of do act like babies in terms of obviously they're sat in chairs all day, just being fed and
Yeah, and partying.
yeah, it's very similar in a weird
Yeah,
way.
weird.
Didn't
Yeah,
think
we
about
found a
that with a
connection.
robot looking after them.
Actually, yeah. And the
That
robot,
eventually becomes
the
evil.
oh my yeah,
Oh,
yeah, Russell, not that original part. Just saying, we've clocked it now. He's just a big Wally fan. Um, Something I think that I noticed, which I think other people may not have, um, is the racism. No, joking, obviously. Um, the way they speak, um, they have they had certain like phrases which it showed how the language had developed, and it was almost influenced by social media. Like she didn't gasp. There was a part where she panicked. Instead of actually gasping, inhaling, she said the word gasp. And there was little moments like that throughout. And I can't remember, but that was the first one I saw, and I
it's
was
like when
like,
you go lol when you're
yeah,
typing, yeah,
yeah, and
instead of just actually
laughing
laughing.
out loud,
Yeah.
yeah. So it's like they've developed their own little social media language, really. And I think that might be one of the reasons why I missed some of what people are saying with microaggressions, because I just assumed that's how they speak in the
Mm.
whatever century this is. That's just how the language has evolved. Well, I say evolved, devolved, actually, really thinking about it. Um, the actress as well. She had such a hard role, I think, carrying the episode and being really unlikable, but also still wanting her to succeed. I think we're going to see a lot of great things from her.
Yeah, I honestly, I know obviously it's hard for me not to get this Black Mirror off my brain, but and I can't remember the actress's name, so apologies to anyone who knows this. The actress in Jurassic Park, she was in that episode of Black Mirror.
Ah, yes, yeah,
The
yeah.
vibe that I got from her was the
The social
same.
media kind of one.
Not yeah, that kind not the obviously the aspects of social media crossover, but just in terms of personality, where it's like you want them to succeed, but
Mm.
really they're pathetic.
Yeah.
Like, yeah, I don't know. I just thought the actress carried it off so well. Another good acting again, Shooty when he did that laugh into despair.
Hold that, because that is coming to the end. They're on the notes. I just want to get through. I want to get through everything we can
Tune
before we
out.
get to the really controversial side of things. But yeah, I agree you do that. Um, I like the concept as well that it's like basically it's a planet of influencers, or it's Love Island the planet. You
Yeah,
know,
as per Millie.
yeah, and which I think is a great idea, because that's why I would take everyone who goes on Love Island just on a planet away from me. That's where I want them to be.
I also like that the monsters weren't scary, but they were weirdly disgusting. So every time she got close to one, I was like, "Oh no, don't go in that. That's horrible."
Yeah, there's quite a lot of like body horror, and I hear they're actually called man traps. That's what they're called. Even though I think that I'm not sure about the name. There's like a pseudo-sexual vibe to it with the name man trap, or maybe that's just
No,
says more
I
about me.
think
That's
that's
just
just
me,
you.
is it? Okay,
Yeah.
that's just me. We're gonna move on from that. We're gonna move on. But yeah, basically having this planet where the rich kids can go and play. I mean, that's pretty, cool, interesting concept, and
I
something
do
you could
wonder
see
though, what the
happening.
hell is their society thinking? What skills do they think that they're developing? Or
Well,
is
maybe that's
that,
part of the reason. Yeah.
yeah.
They're like, you guys are absolutely a waste of space, and mommy and daddy are kind of ashamed of you, even though it's our fault.
Yeah.
So just go ahead and play and, be racist somewhere else, I guess, Um, Ricky September.
Ah,
He was
do you know what? By the end, I loved him too.
he was basically the Doctor, though, really, like,
Yeah, their dynamic together was very well written, and it fed into her character well because, like you said, it almost felt like a doctor companion relationship in the way that he was guiding her. He, you kind of got the feeling that he knows she's an idiot,
yeah,
but he's not being mean about it. He is just being like, okay, no, that's just her level of
kind of like how the
intellect, which
Doctor,
is how the doctor goes with
yeah.
a companion.
And I think it was very heavily coded that obviously he was like the Doctor filling character for this.
Mm.
And I think because from memory, you weren't as sure about him. You thought he was going to be like the bad guy, and we thought when I was
At
watching, yeah,
first,
he
we
seemed
didn't
too
trust the
white.
fact.
You're whiter than white, not too white, whiter than white.
Oh, for me, it was just the fact. It was just the fact that he already wasn't in the bubble. It just for me screamed red flag. But that's, isn't that human nature? Obviously, like
The one guy who's the outsider,
the one
who's
guy who's the
different.
outsider,
You feel
I'm like, oh, got to be something untrustworthy about him. When actually, no, the person who was the insider was the untrustworthy one.
no, 100%. Um, and again, I hope that actor does more as well because he was really again, when you think about his range, because he went from basically a guy doing a really weird TikTok-esque dance, who every time I saw him on the screen annoyed the hell out of me, to like probably one of the best characters in there in terms of, um, well, actually, just not to best as in just being a good character, really, because I mean, as far as we know, he's not a racist. I mean, he doesn't show any signs of
I
it.
think he's just one of those rich kids who, breaks the stereotype.
Yeah. So
Um,
you don't think he would have acted the same way with Shooty as
no, because I thought about it after the episode, looking back and looking at how he interacted with the Doctor. The only part where you could potentially suggest that he was when he was essentially going, "I'm not stupid," which is kind of a natural reaction considering who he lives with in a bubble.
yeah,
So personally, I don't think like when the Doctor came on screen, he didn't react, whereas I think looking back, the others did.
yeah, reacted a lot more at least. And
So I not as far as I'm aware,
not from your head
not
canon.
from my hand canon. Also, it would ruin the character, I think, if he was, and I don't think Russell would do that to somebody
I think the whole point
who's
is
meant to break the mold.
yeah, I think he's meant to be like again he's meant to be the hero, and I think that's what makes how he ends up even more tragic is that they're probably the one good person on that planet from doing something good, from helping others, gets,
I am honestly gutted because if he had survived, you know how the Doctor obviously was going to like allow them to all go to a different planet.
oh.
He would have been such a good second companion.
My only problem with that is though, you basically just got two doctors.
Yeah, I
really,
know, but again, like look at your Ian Chesterton. If you could have a dynamic like that,
I guess, yeah, but I think the optics wouldn't look too good, to be honest with you. Having another character in there, now a white character who now becomes more popular than the first mainline Black Doctor.
yeah, but then I could ship
I'm
them
just think,
together.
I know you would ship them together, and yeah, Shooty seemed to be all for it. Sorry, the Doctor seemed to be all for it. The Doctor's little line about finding them hot, I thought it was pretty funny, to be honest with you. I'm not really one for the Doctor being romantic unless it's with a song, but that's a whole different story. But that was quite fun. I'd like.
There's,
Sorry.
sorry, you say yours first.
No, I was just thinking I'd like to see like some of the other Doctors react to the 15th Doctor dancing in a club, saying that these guys look hot. Like, I can imagine William Hartnell, the first Doctor,
William
reacting.
Hartnell, no, but I mean, it's in trend with modern Who at the moment, isn't it?
Yeah, of course.
Come on, David Tennant probably would
Oh,
have been
yeah.
there with him.
Oh, 100%.
He would have been the one doing like
He would have done a
Scottish jig or something.
He would have done a turn, David Tennant. 100%. 100%.
What I was going to say is one thing I am finding interesting about this series at the moment is the reflections that it gives of the Doctor and of his, I guess, history. obviously you've got the dead home planet. You've got a lot of
Oh,
abandonment, being an orphan. Throughout the series, you've got all these kind of
yeah.
isolationist.
I don't think that isolation is the right word, but I know what you mean.
I know there's a specific word for it, but I
Abandoned, I
can't.
think, probably.
Abandonment, yeah, kind
Yeah.
of.
Because they were abandoned by their parents, really, as well, weren't they? Even the rich kids. Like, oh,
Yeah.
wow, that's a really good thought.
Um, and I'm finding it really interesting, and I think I know that people are, and I'm not necessarily happy with it, but I know he's crying a lot. But I think that if that was me and I was going through these issues, I might fucking cry every 10 seconds because
Yeah, but I
every
know
10
you,
seconds
Kate.
I'm being
I
reminded
know you,
about
Kate. I know
it.
you. You would cry every 10 seconds. This is meant to be an alien. No. The thing is with the crying, I don't mind this getting a more emotional doctor. That's kind of
It's
cool.
just every episode.
Yeah,
Yeah, I
and
get that.
it takes the impact away. Like this ending where he cries. Like imagine if he hadn't
It
cried
made
before.
sense here. It
Yeah,
does it makes sense in almost every situation,
but it's just every time.
but it does you kind of do go, right, at some point he needs to buck up.
Yeah, exactly. Exactly. Um, shall we talk about the AI before we start moving on to the controversial part? I actually love the idea of the AI getting so sick of the influencers that he wants them dead. You know, so sick of the rich kids. And I understand it. That's a very understandable reason for one. If I had to listen to Eeny Weeny Yellow Polka Dot Bikini every day for God knows how long, yeah, I want to start massacring people as well. Don't call the police
But again, it draws
subscribers.
back to that fear that we're currently facing. AI is once again a hot topic, social media wise,
Yeah,
with everything that's going on. But it's something people fear. The growing AI and essentially taking over our lives or killing us to
yeah,
like that's what that's done. That's what that AI managed to do. Now, I'm not saying I disagree with what they've
yeah. To be
chosen.
fair, yeah. If they're killing racist influencers, I'm invested.
The question from there is if they're willing to kill racist influences, if they disagree with something else, when do they stop killing?
Yeah, that's true. Because what else is going to annoy it?
We
You know?
don't know what was on their home planet. We assume that
Yeah,
it's all their parents, but a planet could be very diverse. So why is it that it looks completely destroyed?
yeah. I know what you mean. I mean, where do you draw the line?
Yeah.
That's true.
Now, obviously but I just think again, it's just once you think more about the episode, I think it's got a lot more to it than surface level, which is kind of the whole point of the episode.
Yeah, there's more. There's almost like it's not skin deep. We should be focusing on the outer layer. We should be focusing on the
Weird, that.
inside. Weird, weird. No, that's a tangent coming soon. Um, I did see one criticism online. If it could just if the other layer could just shoot Dot, let's call it Dot, 'cause that's what it was, could just shoot itself through someone's head like a bullet.
Why didn't it do it to
Why do it?
everyone?
Now, I think the reason for that was because it didn't want to be found out. Because if you think this AI is probably all around the galaxy, if they suddenly found out, if the human race or the human empire have found out that AI was starting to turn against it, it would, well, you'd hope that humanity would sort of like, Terminator 2 this bitch and like rise up against it. But if you can blame it on something else, which also, again, probably comes into the point of the episode, blaming the other.
Mm,
Yeah,
nice.
there, see. Look at me, I could write. This is English degrees coming out, this is. You should have got that. You did English in uni.
Please don't listen to that. All of our subscribers, I am not very good at it.
Well, 14 of them. 7 of them are friends.
Only 7?
7, yeah, that's not bad, actually. So that scene as well, where it went through his head.
Oh, it was so fast as well. Done.
Yeah, you audibly gasped. Yeah. You didn't just say gasp, you went, that was brutal. And I think there might have actually been some blood on the screen as well. Because one of my mates was asking, is that like the first time you've seen blood in Doctor Who? And I was like, I don't know, but we haven't seen it for a while. At the very least. I think it can't be the first time, but it's not normal.
I think so. I will say, Another thing about this season, they are not scared to kill people.
Yeah, no, 100%. They aren't afraid to be a bit more brutal. Despite it all looking really silly and campy from the outside, there's some dark stuff.
Yeah.
Like that guy had a bullet through his head because, I might as well talk about it, spoiler it, because that bitch sold him out.
Yeah, she literally went, I don't want to die. Kill him instead.
Yeah. Did you see that coming though? Because I could sort of see that coming. As soon as they got down to well, as soon as he started fighting that thing, I was like, she's gonna say something that's gonna make her go for him.
I didn't think she'd say something. I thought she'd put in the codes and leave it.
That type of thing.
I didn't think that she would literally directly do it. I thought she'd just be coward
Indirectly.
and leave. Yeah.
And again, that shows the level of vapidness and emptiness inside their souls, really.
Also, the fact that she can literally 2 seconds later
Yeah.
talk about him and be like, oh, this guy who was so great who I knew, you've killed him.
You've killed a man.
You've
Yeah.
literally killed him. You cannot then talk about him as if you're besties.
Yeah.
That's not acceptable behaviour.
No, killing a man is not acceptable. I know it's controversial to you guys, but that's Kay's message of the day. Don't kill people. It's not acceptable.
And if you are going to kill them, don't talk about them like they're your best friend.
Yeah, or just don't kill them. I just want to specify that we do not condone murder on this, even if they are space racists.
But also, that's, just because it came up on screen then, they're holding hands, that's the most human contact she's ever had. She killed the person who has given her the most human contact she has ever had in her life.
And someone she probably had more, I guess, the most genuine emotion she could have of another person, the most genuine connection she was willing to...
But it was too deep for her. She can only be skin deep.
There's something in that. But it is crazy to think, like I said, this is the only person she probably ever had a real emotional connection to. But even that wasn't enough to save him. She was still that shallow that she'd rather... God, this woman is an absolute sociopath. Wonderfully acted, but sociopath. I think
we're going to have to talk about the elephant in the room.
Yep, the big old racist elephant in the room. Yeah, take a sip of water first.
Let me.
So, I think full disclosure for everyone listening, we watched that whole thing, we got to the end, we got to the speech, and we still didn't realise that they were racist until I went up and saw a friend later who also told me, did you notice the racist element? And I was like, well, what do you mean? He said, that's why they didn't go with him. It was racist. I was like, no, were you? And then it all started to click. And I think the reason for that was, how I saw it was they were so elitist and so vapid that they didn't like the Doctor, not because he was black. At least this is what I thought when I watched it. Just because he was common, or he wasn't in their class.
That's what I had assumed. Clearly we were wrong.
Yeah, clearly we were all really off the mark.
And do I feel guilty? Yes, I do a little bit.
I don't necessarily feel guilty. I mean, because it kind of shows that we weren't thinking about the race issue, really,
No, but I do think it's also probably just...
It's quite obvious when you look back.
Yeah, it was quite obvious, and, I'm not saying that we're racist, I hope we're not, but what I am saying is that we probably should have recognised that there was something more that was wrong. I think this is kind of, again, it's a social reflection, isn't it? We should be the kind of people who notice it and go, that's not right. But sometimes you're focused so much on the other bad shit.
Yeah.
Like, you don't.
I mean, that's a really good point, but I think as well it was meant to be subtle to a certain extent. Like I've heard apparently like there's been a couple of YouTubers of colour who noticed it a lot more. Obviously, well, not obviously, but they noticed it.
Well, yeah.
We didn't so much.
It's something that we have never had to experience.
No,
like,
not that.
thankfully.
Yeah, luckily.
But so I suppose we can't understand necessarily and can't instantly.
We don't notice it. But I think it's also because they were so, and again, it comes out to me. Maybe it's the point you made. That we don't. There's so much other bad shit. You don't notice that. But they seem so vapid and up themselves.
You almost don't think they'll have that complex
Well, no, for
It's not
me,
even complex. It's just
no, for me, I just thought that they were just being dicks because they're dicks. I just thought they were
yeah.
dicks. No, I just thought they were dicks because they were dicks, not because they were racist dicks.
Yeah, I
You
just
know?
thought they thought, well, they're not from our bubble, which is for rich
Yeah,
people.
and I think they, he did code it. So there's these moments, like you said, oh, you're going to be disciplined, but that goes back to what I was saying about how I thought that's just how their society, how they speak, and I thought when they were referring to disciplined, I thought that's because again, not because he's black. I just thought it's because they thought he was
I genuinely
working
thought,
class
or
or
I
something.
genuinely thought he'd broken a social media rule. And I know that sounds stupid, but I
Yeah, but
thought the
that's what
fact
they
that he
implied
had
it.
been blocked
Yeah,
and then came back in, I just thought social media seems to be their world. So
yeah.
having those rules of social media
And
broken.
I think he does on purpose as a bait and switch to make you think, okay, this is why they don't like him because again, he's broken the rules, he's not in their bubble. But then to have that gut punch, and as soon as I found out about the racist element, the ending made a lot more sense, and it was a lot
More
more powerful.
impactful.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I mean, to think, and again, I saw another YouTuber talk about this that one regeneration ago, had he been David Tennant, he
He
wouldn't
could
have
have
had this
saved those
problem.
people.
Yeah,
I know, that's what I was thinking about a lot. It is that I think it's the first time, correct me if I'm wrong, that his race has really played a part in an episode.
yeah, the first
So
part.
that laughter of, so this is what it's
Yeah,
like. Obviously, we know that the Doctor has been different races before,
but he
but
doesn't really
not
remember it.
in his memory
Yeah,
exactly. So I think that's for him is like a,
wow,
what the hell
hell
is wrong
with you
with
people?
you
Yeah,
people? That
so,
because that is the natural reaction. It's what's wrong, what's so wrong with you that because of my colour, you would choose not to save your own
lives.
lives.
And him watching them, knowing that they're all gonna die, and yet he
And
still
yet
wants to save
he
them.
still wants to save them. Yeah, but doesn't that show how amazing this doctor is?
It is 100%, and I think that one scene again, Shooty is an absolutely marvelous actor. Like between him and him and this name sex education, so completely different. I sometimes was watching this, I was thinking, that's Eric from Sex Education. Like it blows my mind how different he is, and his range in that one scene where he goes from like anger to sadness to this almost nervous laughter because he can't believe what he's seeing, and then this pity. I think at the end when he pities them because he knows what they're about to go to, their deaths. But also he pities them for being so
Shallow.
shallow and bigoted, you know. And again, I watched another YouTube video again, and I can't remember who said this, but we mustn't forget that Ruby's parents are black.
Yeah.
So she reacts to the scene as well. Obviously in a different way to the Doctor, because I know he's black and also an alien and doesn't, a completely different thing. But that must have stung for her as well, seeing that she was being accepted by them.
But it's funny, isn't it? Once I had that understanding, I mean, I wanted them. No, I'm not gonna lie, I was not upset about their outcome.
Yeah,
But once you have the understand, it shows how much better characters or people they are. Because in my mind, I was like, well, it's not such a loss.
yeah,
Like,
no, 100%. That is the one happy ending about this, right? All we've learned from this is that in the future, all the racists will be on one planet and they'll all get killed. So
yeah.
there is actually a happy ending to all this, really. All the space racists go to the one planet and they all get killed.
But isn't it funny that a robot who should not have any emotion, AI should not have emotion, has more understanding of that than they did.
Oh yeah, yeah. I didn't even think about that. Is it the real racism? Is he like Is he like the I don't know the Malcolm X or the
Yeah.
Nelson Mandela of the AI world? I don't know. I thought it was just again he hated how vapid they were, but maybe he also hates them that they're racist. Maybe he's like a big ant. Maybe do I want the AI to win?
Yes.
I feel like I want the AI to win
We
now.
want the AI to
Yeah.
win.
And I'm saying that now, so in 100 years' time, when the AI does start wiping out
We are
racist
your allies,
influences, we're your
AI.
ally. I invested in you. I invested in you. I'm your father, technically, so keep me alive. Uh,
And on that
yeah,
note,
yeah. After we've just doomed humanity, final thoughts. Score out of 10.
Oh. Problem is, I'm enjoying Doctor Who so much at the moment that I'm over exaggerating all my
Yeah,
scores.
I feel like that looking back.
But do you know what? I'm gonna give it.
I have to say it louder for the camera.
I know. I don't know. I want to give it a 9, but I'm gonna give it an 8.
Ooh. Controversially, I might give it a 7, maybe a 6.5, because I'm thinking back to 73 Yards. This is a better story in the sense that there's more answers as a beginning, middle, or end. But if I think about stories that stuck with me more, I think 73 Yards did, and I gave that a higher score. But at the same time, I kind of want to watch the episode again, so maybe a 7, but I don't want to give everything a 7.
I feel like for me, the reason why I kind of want to give it a higher score, and I am definitely gonna get some kickback from this, is because it's the most Doctor Who-y for me the episode has felt.
Ah,
Out
good
of
point.
all of Ncuti's era so far,
Even though you just said it's Black Mirror.
even though it's Black Mirror, but you can have episodes that are akin to other types of genre
Yeah, Doctor Who's done that
and
a lot.
still have that be Doctor Who, because that's the whole point. Episode by episode, it can be completely different. But it's off-world, which Doctor Who doesn't have to be off-world, but it's, you know, we haven't
It's your bread and
seen much
butter.
of it,
It's
and
your
it
bread
is
and
your
butter.
bread and butter. It's got a monster that's not really the monster, but it's,
Humanity is the real monster.
yeah, it's got
Racism's the
that
real
human
monster.
aspect. It's got, for me, one of the better Doctor moments so far.
Yeah, definitely. Probably my favorite Doctor
Yeah,
moment,
I
I
want
think,
to.
so
I want
far.
to say it's my favorite, but I can't remember. So I don't want to. But it probably is if I can't remember.
Yeah.
And I just think it's, you know, it reminds me of, weirdly, it's like the opposite to Eccleston's. I want, you know,
Everybody lives.
Everybody lives. It's like
Oh yeah.
sometimes you can't save everyone.
It's like Voyage of the Damned.
Sometimes people will. Sometimes that old lady will want to stay in her house, and you can't save her for love nor money. Sometimes the rich bitch kids are gonna wanna be racist.
Was that Dante's? Was that the Dante's Peak quote? That's a Dante's Peak quote.
It's not a quote. It's a reference to the old lady who.
That's a deep cut. So
for anyone who has not watched Dante's Peak, watch it. It's a terrible film, but I really enjoy it.
yeah, we'll review that next week. Come back for Doctor Who and Dante's Peak. Let's leave it there now before we. I think the tide is taking us. Hang on. Like, share, and subscribe and all that jazz.
Leave a comment, please, because we don't have enough of this.
Yeah, call us a fascist or call us.
Just disagree or agree. That would be new.
Yeah, just anything, any likes. No, we're not serious, guys. Thank you for listening, all 14 of you. Actually, it's 70 views on the last one. We're doing right. We're going viral.
We'll see if they stick around.
We'll see if they stick around after these. We shall see you next week for Rogue. That's the name of it. Yeah.
Yeah.
Doctor Who Rogue. Yeah. Bye, guys. Thanks for listening. Bye-bye.
Bye.